Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today and welcome to the Fall 2022 Virtual Fabric Show. My name is Stephanie Sheridan and I will be your host today. We have over 30 brand new collections in our fall release and we are excited to share some of them with you today. A few notes before we begin. We will be taking questions from the audience at the end of the session. So if you have a question during the presentations or the panel discussion, you can use the Q&A box down across the bottom of your screen and go ahead and type your question in there. Second, please visit our website, which is benartex.com, or our Virtual Fabric Show website, which is virtualfabricshow.com, to see the full collections and to find out more information about the fabrics that you see here today. Lastly, when you see something that you love, and we are sure that you will, please ask your local quilt shop to order the fabrics. They can contact their Benartex sales rep, order through one of our many distributors worldwide, or contact us directly through our website for more information on ordering. Please keep in mind, we only sell to independent quilt shops. You won't find our fabrics in any of the big box stores. So now it's time to start the show. Our first presenter today is part of the what I call the dynamic duo of Jim Shore and Jan Shore. When you hear Jim Shore's name, you can't help but think of Christmas time. And in his Night Before Christmas collection, he brings the iconic story to life. Jan's Bluesette collection features stunning medallions, flowing florals, and pretty paisleys, all in exquisite detail. You can watch for both collections in your local quilt shops starting next spring. And first, we're going to show you a short video clip of Jan's Bluesette collection, and then we'll hear from her about the fabrics.
Hello.
Hey, Jan. So
How are you?
Bluesette is absolutely beautiful. Can you show us the fabrics that you got in front of us and tell us all a little bit about them?
Okay, blue and white is my favorite of anything. My entire house would only be blue and white if Jim would permit it.
Like I have any say-so in it.
So these are two of the stripes, and these stripes would make excellent borders. I mean, it is just so beautiful, as you saw in the quilt that in the video. I mean, it's just beautiful fabric. I love the medallions also. They are really stunning. And the blues are gorgeous blues. I mean, they're a true blue. It's it doesn't lean toward green or the lavenders. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous set. There are 19 pieces here that will just make an amazing quilt. They your darks and lights. I can't imagine that you would really need anything else to go with it because everything is here in this set. And like I said, the blues are just stunning, which blue is my favorite color. So
The thing that impresses me about what Jan's accomplished here is taking this sort of vintage genesis of design and massaging it in such a way that has a retro yet modern look. And this entire collection that she's done is completely compatible with one another. I mean, it could be, any one of these pieces could go with any other one, depending on whether you need a tossed pattern or a rest pattern or a stripe pattern or a border or a backing or whatever. It's all here to just make an absolutely beautiful sort of monochromatic, almost like you see in Flow Blue or British trade pottery and everything. That beautiful combinations of different shades of blue along with the white background is really, really, really stunning. As an accent piece, even, I mean, it's just every single one of these designs to me hits the mark. It's as a collection, it's beautiful, but each one is a standalone design, and it's I think it's quite an accomplishment, to have such an array that represents the same sort of type of motif that's so compatible. It's astonishing.
and you're right, it would be beautiful with the vintage blue and white dishes that a lot of people collect. One of the things that I'm going to be doing besides making a quilt is doing tea towels and using some of my vintage lace that I have and put on there. And it would absolutely be beautiful for clothes also. Know that there are a lot of people who like to sew clothes, and I was just at a quilt show, and that was one of the things that they were really talking about, were clothes. And I don't think about that too often until I see something like that. And they're just absolutely gorgeous.
Well, that's a good point. We're all about quilts and everything, and that's the focal point of what we're doing. But there's so many other applications that would be beautiful for this kind of thing, whether it be, like you say, clothing or runners or, any number of things. Even I could see covering a lampshade with some of this stuff, and it'd be gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, it sure would. You're very right. At the quilt show, we have a quilt show coming up in Houston also. That's at the very beginning of November. And if you've never been to a quilt show before, this is the one to try to go to, because it is the prettiest show that I've ever seen. And it is year after year after year. And I'm really excited about these blues.
I agree with Jan about the show. If you're a quilter, at some point in your life, you need to go to the Houston Quilt Show, because it is like the mecca of quilting. And I always contend, the unique thing about the show in my mind is that so many of the people that are participating are just ordinary folks that do extraordinary things, and some of them don't even consider themselves an artist. And I will rank them along with some of the greatest artists in the world. When you look at the astonishing things that they've created, the width and the breadth of that show, I think, is unparalleled anywhere. And I'm talking about any kind of art show. You could put that, it's a combination of abstract and modern and geometrics and just retro and old. I mean, it's just amazing, and it's just a couple of football fields worth of space, of just beauty and creativity and just absolutely astonishing work. It's I can't say enough about the high quality that's brought there. ordinary people doing extraordinary things. That's just it amazes me every time.
And with these fabrics, the florals, the medallions to repeat, and the stripes, there is just something here that will work in every quilt. I will probably take this and take fat quarters and cut them into 4 pieces and do a block quilt, and it will just be beautiful. Once you put it all together, you've created a very unique textile that is just yours alone, and you'll love it. So if you see it, grab it.
Well, it could lend itself to just any kind of the patterns that that are typical. Whether it's the combinations of like the
Her hair's,
what?
her hair's.
Oh, okay, got it. I'm not observant today, Shelley. Okay.
So Jan, thank you so much for showing us Bluesette. I love your idea about just cutting fat quarters into big blocks and putting them together and creating something that's very uniquely you. To me, the fabrics remind me of like Delftware from Holland. Those beautiful blue and white pottery pieces. That's absolutely what this collection reminds me of. I can see it in a beautiful dining room. My dining room is all navy and white, and I might be making a table runner.
I make napkins too. I love cloth napkins, and this fabric has such a great feel, and it will wash so well. You can wash it
that's
repeatedly.
a great idea. Yeah. So now we're going to show a quick video clip of Jim's collection, which is called The Night Before Christmas.
Gorgeous.
Okay, well, that was a very nice intro, and I really appreciate that. And another thing I appreciate here is I appreciate being counted among so many other talented quilters and designers. So I'm truly humbled by that, because primarily I'm known as a sculptor, and I think the people that know me or know of me know primarily because of my sculptures. But typically when I do a sculpting beforehand, I generate fairly detailed artwork to explain what my ideas are and that sort of thing. And then we try to utilize the the potential of the artwork that I've generated in so many different ways. Of course, a natural is once again fabric. And so this collection, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I don't know how I came up with that name. I think it's pretty catchy. Actually, of course, it's by the Clement Moore poem from 1822 that everybody knows. And so I thought it was a good title for this, because it's all centered around around that very time period, and I'll show you a few examples of what I like. I really like this. This has a number of detailed panels in it, and actually you could take one of those and make a quilt for a mouse. So it would you know.
Also, you could, one of the things that I'm really into right now is scrapbooking and making things called junk journals. And these would be great for pages in that. Also for tags, Christmas tags, because they are just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, well, it represents, you know, everything about the season. You know, you've got things that are iconic, you know, like Jan's going to show you. This is the one with the wreaths, and we have you know, patterns like this too, that sort of stuff. And then pieces that have some of the imagery of the things that I've
Santas.
designed. and
That's
all of it.
amazing looking. That's beautiful.
And then this, I think this is a stripe that I think really worked out pretty well. A lot of this is a combination of borders that I've actually used on my designs on my sculpture. So we collect all of that in a style guide, and then we can utilize the pieces, you know, to do this kind of design work. And so that's the way we do it.
So this artwork actually came from a book that Jim is doing with the poem. And
yeah, my version of The Night Before Christmas is a book that has been published, and it will be out on the
this year or next year?
I think
Next year.
Next year it'll be rolled out early next year, and then it will be in you know, Amazon and Books A Million and all those. So that's kind of what the genesis of this collection was. You know, taking those elements out of the artwork from the book in part, and then some of the stuff from the style guide, and we massage it all together, and boom, you know, we got this collection. But the one thing about the collection is, you know, it is color wise, it coordinates, but it really goes all over the place. And much of the color is, I think, reminiscent of what I typically use as my color palette in my in the figural designs that I use. You know, so.
And the colors are so rich. I mean, they're just beautifully done.
Yeah, they're very delicious colors, and then some of them are so very warm and yet subtle. You know, like this here, and. So I was pretty pleased with, well, for one thing, I was pleased with the expert, I mean, just astonishingly expert way that Benartex has printed this at such a high level, because, you know, as you know, if you're familiar with any of my work, I pay extreme attention to detail, and I usually have a whole lot of it in detail in my pieces. Now that translated into this fabric design, and the register and everything. I have been looking for mistakes, and I can't find any. But because I'm a stickler for detail, and I love things to be perfect. And as far as I can see, the register, the reproduction of color, the entire execution of the way Benartex has done this, I tell you, I am humbled and delighted by it at the same time, because it is absolutely, I can't imagine it being done better. And I think everybody, all of you all who end up with any of this fabric are going to agree with me. It is absolutely beautifully done, and you know, and the designs aren't bad either, if I must say so myself.
I'll have to agree with you. The designs on this are absolutely beautiful, and they were taken from the painting. So the book is all hand painted. All the photography, all the book, the pictures are all hand painted pictures, and so that this all came from hand paintings, and it's just amazingly done.
Yeah, I think it's kind of unique to be able to take one project, you know, that is so different from what, you know, what this application is, be able to apply the artwork, and it goes from figural pieces to the, you know, the flat art that I do, in this case for the book, and others, and, you know, like the borders and stuff, and then to be able to, you know, put that together into such a beautifully executed, you know, collection of varied designs and varied, you know, applications that coordinate in such a such a strong way. You know?
Also, if you have any of Jim's other fabrics from Benartex, the colors maintain throughout. So you can take all those fabrics and put them together. And that's one of the things that I love about this is that the matching from line to line to line. And it's
that's a good
beautifully
point.
done.
That's a good point, Jen. And the same applies to your collection. You know, while your collection is predominantly blue, my collection goes all over the place color-wise, but both of them have in past collections, which are, you know, still out there, things that coordinate with this, you know, that are, even if it's a rest pattern or a different stripe or something like that, you know, we'll go this. But this is a storytelling line here. I mean, it's everything about it, you know, speaks to the season. It speaks to well, it harkens back to the same kind of flavor that you get when you read the poem, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." And so it's all there, you know, as far as the well, pieces that are iconic, you know, the wreaths and the holly and the you know, Santa himself and all that sort of thing. So I think it's a collection that, while it may seem seasonal, you know, well, I guess it is. It could go together as a, you know, as a project that could be a year-round project.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. It's a fantastic collection, and I cannot wait to see what people create with those fabrics.
Yeah, me too.
We read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas every Christmas Eve with our kids, and now with our grandson. So I'm thinking I might need to make him a 'Twas the Night Before Christmas quilt.
That
for
would be
Christmas Eve.
amazing.
All right, well, thank you very much, Jim and Jan. We're now actually going to move on to our next presenter. Next up, we have Cherry Guidry. Her two new collections are just as sweet as she is. You can create memories stitched with love using her Chalk Garden collection and celebrate the winter season with Nordic Cabin. Chalk Garden will actually be out in stores next month, and you'll find the Nordic Cabin line starting in April of next year. So first, we're going to show you a quick video clip, and then we'll move on to Cherry's presentation. Okay, we might be having a few technical difficulties, so we'll just hold on. Oh, we don't have the clip. Okay, so we're going to skip the video clip, and we're just going to go straight to Cherry and her presentation, and she's going to show us the collections.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It's so good to be here. And thank you guys for joining us today. I'm sure you're enjoying Jan and Jim's beautiful fabrics. And I have two to share with you today. So let me get started with sharing my screen. And I have Nordic Cabin. Can you guys see that? So Nordic Cabin is a Christmas collection, and it features little snowman and some very beautiful blues, but also your traditional reds and greens. So this is the panel that goes with the collection. It has this fun little snowman, and it's filled with little sentiments about snowmen. Just some are quirky and sweet, and plus we have the little cabin in the woods in a very cool winter scene. We have a complimentary little pattern for this collection that was designed by our own Stephanie Sheridan, and it's called Snow Time, and it features some of the prints and the panel from the collection, and it will be available on the Benartex website early next spring when the collection releases. This collection has a stripe that is beautiful for borders, great for little children's outfits like little pajama pants. And I think it would also be really fun to do, and I may try this, a kaleidoscope quilt. And I have a couple of those started from the past because I'm one of those collecting quilters, but I really want to do that with this stripe. We have a few reds that work really well with that stripe. Of course, I have to have words in my prints, and this one has all the little sentiments that you see in the panel. So just this much smaller scale, as well as the little deer that you see there and the little snowflakes. And the little star that's featured in the little snowman's hat is right here in a very tiny print. Those little stars measure about 1/2 inch. And then we have the little cookies, as well as my red chalk texture that coordinates really well with this group. So you could just do monochromatic quilt with just these prints, and I will show you one later on. And just stick to the reds. I'm a huge fan of just red and white Christmas. And of course, this one has a little bit of gray. And so here we have the little mugs that have the red and the gray, and a couple of other prints. The little circles on the right, little dots, they're like little tree trunks. So it's like if you cut a tree trunk and you have the little slivers or little slices of it. That's what that little print is. And we have the little star and also a little white background. And here you can see the little cabin that is featured at the top of that panel, as well as one of the grays, or two of the grays in the chalk textures collection. Do have this print with blue and a little bit of red in there. So if you want to incorporate both colorways, this will give you that great option. And here's some of the blue prints with a nice, cool blue. It's a little bit unusual, but it works really well with this group. It just kind of gives you that feeling of snow. And again, we have the little snowman here, his little head, and the little wood cuts and the little words and the cabins. But we also have it in a little bit darker navy blue. And so it goes great with the grays also. Of course, if you have red, you have to have green in there. And so, and you know me, I have to have a little bit of aqua. And so we threw in a little bit of both of these colors in there to complete the collection. And so here you can see the snowflakes and the little green chalk texture. It works really well with that. So a couple of other prints that work really well from the chalk texture here. If you're going to applicate a little snowman, you have a little orange that's really pretty. And so I will show you some of the patterns that incorporate all these prints into the collection. So this is called Cozy Cabin, and it's a nice size twin throw size quilt. It is all pieced, and it's super simple, easy piecing. The hardest thing here is half square triangles. And of course, my pattern gives you real clear instructions on how to do those. This is something that would be great as the whole quilt, or you could do, you know, just so many rows of it, or repeat some of the rows, or maybe just make a runner or two. So you have lots of options here, or just make individual little blocks and make great little mug rugs and or pillows or whatever. So you could just really have a lot of fun with this design. And for the board, and so in the background, I'm using that navy blue that I showed you earlier. That's a chalk texture. And then for the little border, I just have to do the little snowman because they were just so cute, and just gives you a, you know, a fun project. Now, for the red that I mentioned earlier, I just wanted to have a red and a little bit of gray quilt. And so I love Dresden's. It's one of my favorite quilt blocks. And so I've always wanted to make one in my fabrics. And so this was the perfect opportunity for that. And so it's a very easy one. You just need 12 wedges, and it uses a 30-degree ruler. And so just a few of the prints in the collection, and a little 30-degree wedge ruler that there are several out there on the market. The one I'm using here on the quilt I'm showing you is by Creative Grits, one of my favorite rulers out there. And then what's really the star of the quilt here, as well as the fabrics, is that it has hand embroidery. So of course, if you don't want to do hand embroidery, you can just use one of the prints in the collection, or the print in the border, which is the little cookies, put that in the centers. But I just wanted to do some hand embroidery. I've been a huge fan of slow stitching for a long time, and love to sit down in my chair and listen to a good book and do a little hand embroidery. And so this is all red work too. So all you need is one thread color and a good needle, and you can just sit and chill and enjoy. And you know, you could even do this during the holidays. You don't have to necessarily need to have it done. So it would be great. But of course, have it in the red colorway, and you can also do it in the blue. So here it is, the same quilt. We have it all the information on which fabrics you need, so you can do either red or blue, or you may want to do both, right? Do one for a friend. But these little designs are also great if you just want to do, maybe 3 of them and do a runner, or just 1 of them and do a little table topper, hang on one of those little Acville wire hangers, or lots of possibilities again. Now, of course, I'm an applicator number 1. I love machine embroidery. And so this is Nordic Tannenbaum. And the quilt itself is very simple. Strip piecing, just a few little, triangles to give that tree shape, and you're done. And so you make your background quilt, and then you quilt it, and then you add some buttons. And all the little ornaments you see here, they hang on the quilt. So you stitch them out on your embroidery machine, and I give you a design that has either a blanket stitch or a satin stitch finished edge. And then you can make the little ornaments, and then you just hang them on those little buttons. And so you don't necessarily have to hang all the ornaments, or you may want to make them for your actual tree or to give out to your friends. There's a little slit in the back of the ornaments that you could actually use to put like little gift cards or cash for those older kids that we don't ever know what to give for Christmas. So this is a really fun, really easy, really a beginner could do. All of my projects are really beginner friendly. So then I have Jolly Lane, and this is a bench pillow project. And again, super easy to applique. It is manual applique. So you can either do the fusible, or you can stitch it out with like a turned edge applique. There are a few buttons in there, and just a little bit of hand embroidery just to add a little bit more detail to that. Now, if you don't want to do a pillow, you can always do a runner. And so there are instructions in the pattern so that you can take the fabric that you use for the pillow back and turn it into a little runner. So again, lots of possibilities with that. Now, I am trying to not go too slow here. My next collection is called Chalk Garden. So we're going from winter and we're moving into spring, summer, because this collection is perfect for spring all the way to summer and into fall. So very happy collection. And my bird, I love that. This is my favorite print in the collection too. But I do have the panel. And it's just a sweet little panel that you could add borders to this and turn it into a little quilt. Or you can take these little, make all kinds of things that you could do, little bags, or just tiny little wall hangings, little mug rugs, and give to your friends. So just a lot of fun. And we have it in a cool and a warm palette. But I think they're both great. And thought about just mixing them both and turning them into a big quilt. We'll see. But here are the blue prints in the collection. And so we have a little bird with the large floral. And so we have lots of scale here. That's great when you're making a quilt, and a lot of variation in color so that things really stand out and it looks good. So here we have the little blue background, and it's that chalk texture for the bird and the flower. And then we also have this little, can't think of the word, but the larger florals here. And I have it here in a much warmer colorway, and the little bird print with a little white background. And we have some pretty pinks and oranges. And I would love to have like a little skirt made with that ombre floral. I just think it's so fun. Or just a bag, like a summer bag would be pretty in this orange pink colorway. And again, a few more prints, a lot more florals and different scales. And here's a little bird with a little white background, and a fun little dictionary. My little word print for this collection has all these quirky little meanings that I came up with. They're not the actual dictionary descriptions of those words, but still, really a lot of fun. Now, these are some of the chalk textures from my chalk texture collection that coordinate really well with Chalk Garden. So let me show you the patterns for this group. This is Count Your Blessings. And it is a really sweet quilt that's all about the things that we should be thankful for, especially, you know, when things aren't going so good. We need to be reminded of all the positive things in our life, you know, family and friendship and sewing. So I have to have a little sewing machine in there. Now, this is a project that is done in your embroidery machine. And if you have a really large hoop, and here I'm just showing you Bernina embroidery hoops, you can stitch the blocks out in one hooping, or if you don't, you can just multi-hoop them and use a smaller hoop. And the pattern gives you all the information on how to do that and makes it super fun and easy. So, you know, I hope you'll give this one a try. And then I have one that's all piece. It's called Fly High. It's kites. I hope you'll give this one a try. And then I have one that's all piece. It's called Fly High. It's kites. Try. And then I have one. Not sure what's happening, but I'm hearing like the echo here. Okay, good. So this uses a 10 by 10 squares pack. So you have one of those, you add a little bit more fabric and you're done. And there's a template in the pattern that shows you, you know, how to cut those half square rectangles. I guess I said that right. Or you can use a ruler. So I do recommend a ruler in the project. And here is the panel and the complementary pattern in both in the cool and the warm colorway. So this is really fun. It makes a good size quilt, 64 by 90. You can throw it on a twin bed. You can really snuggle up with this. This is something you can download this pattern on my website right now. It is free. Now, quickly, let me just go over the chalk textures and I'll just run through this because I hope I'm not going over Stephanie. But here are all the colors in chalk texture. And we have 31 SKUs so far. And here is one of the complementary patterns. Super easy. It uses a 2.5-inch strips pack. Here, this one uses a 10-inch squares pack. And this one, you will have to purchase the pattern. And it's actually the quilt I have behind me. And it is all applique, no curve piecing for this one. And I've made it both in the blue. And it's using the background here. I am using fabric from the collection before Chalk Garden. It's called Blooming Denim, and the background here is a denim print, so it's really pretty, and just love how it turned out. But of course you could do it with a white, and it you know, it's fun and colorful. And it's called City Block because if you're looking at a city from the sky, this is kind of what you would see, right? All the little buildings and all the little connecting streets. So had a lot of fun coming up with that. Now, last but not least is Fallen, and it's a little fall quilt. And as you can see, the progression of the tree filled with leaves, and all of them have fallen out. And this is all done in chalk textures, except for the background. I think I used a print from my at-home collection. So you guys, my patterns, you know, they're easy, full-size layouts, everything. I include SVG files if you want to cut your appliques with an electronic cutter, and also all this is included in for in the hoop patterns. So get a lot of PDFs and a lot of information to make quilting fun. There are lookbooks that you can find at Benartex for all of these collections. So you can just go to benartex.com and check out all the information there. You can reach me at cherryblossoms.quilting.com or email me at cherryblossoms.quilting. Or you can find me also on Facebook and Instagram. So let me stop that. And here I am. Yay! I did it. See, there's that quilt. I don't know if you can tell. That denim. I just love how it turned out. So fun. One of my favorites.
It's beautiful, Cherry.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for all of that. Both of the collections are so much fun. And I can't wait to see what people create with them.
So Stephanie,
I do have to tell everyone. Yeah.
Do you have
Go
time
ahead.
to show the fabrics, the actual fabrics, or are we over?
Nope, we're running tight on time.
Okay.
So, and unfortunately, we do have a bit of a technical difficulty in the background. We're not going to be able to play the video from Shelley Canvanna with her Alpine Valley collection. She wasn't able to be here with us today, and we had planned on playing her video in this segment, but some technical difficulties. We're going to try and put it in our next segment. So at this time, we're going to move on, and we're going to post our poll for this session. So if everyone will take a look at the poll when it goes out, and go ahead and vote in the poll. And while you're doing that, we're going to get started with our panel discussion portion. I'm going to ask a question, and Cherry and Jan and Jim can give us their answer. And then after that, I'll get to the Q&As that you guys have been posting. I see there's a lot of them, so I can't wait to see what you guys want to ask. So my first question is kind of a fun one. If you had a superpower, what would it be? Cherry, what would your superpower be?
To be able to clone myself.
That's a good one.
And somebody suggested I could clone myself, and my clone could do all the hard work, and I could actually get some sleep, because otherwise I would want to not be able to sleep.
Okay, and Jim and Jan, how about you guys? If you guys had a superpower, what would it be?
My superpower would be to be able to sprout multiple arms so that I could accomplish a whole lot of things at one time, you know, because I stay pretty busy as it is, you know, and I don't relax very well. My idea of taking a break is working on something different. And if I had multiple arms, I could do a whole bunch of stuff at the same time. So that would be it.
How about you, Jan?
Mine would be to be able to hand sew as quickly as a long arm machine could do it, because I love hand stitching.
Okay. And while I've got you guys up right now, what do you guys like to do in your free time? I know, Jim, you don't do free time. You're always working. But when you have free time, what do you guys like to do?
Well, I'll tell you, we travel a lot. We enjoy the adventures of traveling, and we have a house in Charleston, as you know, and we spend some time down there because it's a wonderful historical place, and we enjoy that sort of thing, you know. And other than that, a lot of the projects that I do are my paintings and that sort of thing. While some people might consider them work, I consider them almost leisure. I mean, I can be cabinet making or working on furniture or doing a portrait or making a painting or something like that, which is a departure from what I normally do as, what I would consider my work. And, but I enjoy that too. That's kind of refreshing and relaxing. And when I create something beautiful and it turns out good, it kind of energizes me. So,
Yeah, I like doing things and using my old fabrics and my old linens and laces. And that the junk journaling that I mentioned has a lot of applications that you can do with the fabrics. And I really love that. And making tags, and just I guess that's kind of work because I take that to shows also, but that's the fun part. I love doing it.
Okay, great. And Cherry, how about you? What do you like to do in your free time?
Sleep. No. As I mentioned earlier, I'm really into hand stitching now. So whether it's wool applique or hand embroidery or cross stitch, really getting into cross stitch here. Just slowing down, because everything else I do is just speed sewing, and so that's what I'm enjoying. Even though I'm a crafter, scrapbooking and painting and all kinds of other stuff. I have all these things I collect that I hope I can do. But really, when it gets down to it here lately, I just like to sit down and slow stitch.
Okay, great. And I'm going to switch over now to our Q&As. And I have a couple comments for each of you. The first one, Cherry, love all your collections. The snowmen melted me. Are your ornaments and kites workable in a 5x7 hoop?
So the kites are only pieced, so you will not need a hoop for that. But all the ornaments, yes, they will fit a 5x7.
Great, thank you. Another comment was, I think this is to Jim and Jan. I promised myself no more Christmas fabric. Well, I'm going to break that promise. Will previous year's fabrics colors mix well? So I think what she's
Absolutely.
asking are, will previous collections mix with the night before Christmas?
They absolutely will. And that's one of the great things about it, is they do mix with former years. And we've actually put together, using the new fabrics, with something that we did right at the very beginning with you all. So it's really, really great that they will.
Well, I have a color, I use a color palette generally in my, in my sculptural pieces that is fairly recognizable. And it's kind of a, it's kind of a, well, it goes across the board, from being, this, the warm creams all the way up to these luscious, heavy, burgundies and blues and greens and that kind of stuff. And it's kind of an earthy blend of colors. And so that coloration has sort of been used throughout, well, the previous collections and the previous collections to that and so forth. And so you can take just about anything that I've done and bring it into here, and it would coordinate. So that's the answer to that, yes,
Wonderful. We also have another question. Are there sculptures to go with this line? Jim, are there sculptures?
Will there be sculptures?
Sure. Yeah. Actually the designs that I use on these pieces, a lot of those come directly from patterns and so forth that I routinely use to decorate some of my sculptural pieces. Hand me that piece right there. Well, you can, this is kind of an example of it. See that piece there? That's an ornament that is very much like this. And we've got, I've got a lot of pieces like, like that's a fairly new rendition of the Santa and it's similar design. People accuse me of making these Santas as self-portraits. I don't know where they get that, but
Will you have pieces that specifically go with the night before Christmas?
yes, as a matter of fact, a lot of the pieces that I'm going to be creating will coordinate with the book, and it will coordinate consequently with these fabrics too. I like to do that, when I work on one project that can lend itself to to pieces that coordinate with it. I'll do a centerpiece and then peripheral pieces that go along with it. And this project will be kind of like that too.
Our last quilt book was made using, I took a central piece and took the designs off of that to make the pieced quilts.
Which was kind of interesting because the whole project was sort of circular, my designs are inspired largely by quilt patterns and things like that. And then the subject of the book, the quilts that were made for the book, were taken from the figural pieces that were inspired by quilts. So it's kind of a circular thing, made it very interesting, made it entertaining for us too. And I think that showed in the projects, just like it shows in these fabrics. These fabrics, these aren't something that are just thrown together. I mean, the whole process of thinking about it, designing it, and putting these pieces together and coordinating and everything, the way Jan does, the way I do, is a process that is, I don't know, enriching for us too, and I hope that kind of passion that we put into this, it translates through to all the folks out there that use the fabric. Hope so.
Okay. For sure. So Cherry, I have a comment for you. Paul says, I love the take you have on your collection along with your choice of colors. And then we have a question about how long does it take you to design a fabric collection? So Cherry, from start to finish, from concept to finished fabric in quilt shops,
Oh, goodness. It's
how long do you think that takes?
about a year.
Okay. So you're already working on collections for next year.
Yeah. Yes.
So when you come up with a concept, how long does it take you to get it ready for print? You know, is it a matter of days, weeks?
No, it's weeks to months. So, you know,
Okay.
from getting inspiration to, you know, gathering your ideas to actually drawing the collection to working with studios at Benartex. And then, you know, just going back and forth and, you know, so probably 4 to 6 weeks for that process. And then there's just a little bit of tweaking, and then it's just, you know, a matter of producing the fabrics.
It's taken me about 50 years.
Dan, how about for you? How long does it take you to put together the artwork for one of your collections?
About the same, really. I take my patterning. I have these books that range from 1790 to 1890. And I will take patterns from that, massage them around so that they are good for, or what I consider good for quilting. And it takes quite a bit of time because you're going through and trying to look at things that you think match and figuring out how to put it together. And so it's pretty, I wouldn't say time consuming, but I mean, it takes months to do it.
Yeah, it's not a quick, easy process for any of the designers. And I know they all work very hard to create the amazing, beautiful fabrics.
You know, the
so that the
same thing
quilters can-
applies to the same applies to the type of work that I do typically, which is the sculptural pieces. You know, people say, oh, you know, what's new? Well, what they see as new is something that I was working on 18 months ago, you know. So all of it within our industry, you know, it's a slow process, step by step. And, you know, particularly if you coordinate according to the trade shows and that sort of thing, so that it's introduced, you know, to retailers and so forth. And then it goes through the production process and all that kind of thing until it gets on the shelf. So it is a lengthy process.
Oh, for sure. I do have one last question for all three of you. What tech tools, computer software programs, etc., do you use to aid in the design of your fabrics?
I don't use any. I am terrible with technology. So I just, I probably use my telephone. That's it.
I use a stone tablet and a chisel. No, actually, I do everything by hand too. I don't deal with computers, and that includes all of the design work I do for anything and everything that I do. It's all hands-on. It's from the heart to the mind to the hands, and that's the way I always do it.
Mine's really
So Cherry, how about you?
I use Adobe Illustrator. So pretty much that's my go-to software.
Okay, great. Well, I want to just thank everyone for asking all of the questions. We're almost at the end of our time for this session, so I'm going to start wrapping things up. First off, I want to thank everyone for coming to our virtual fabric show. We hope that you've enjoyed seeing all the fabrics and hearing about them directly from the designers. Be sure to ask at your local quilt shop for these fabrics. and we can't wait to see what you all create. Next, I'd like to announce the winner of our giveaway for this session. Congratulations to Joanne Lentz. You are our winner, and we will contact you via email to get your mailing address so we can send you a fun fabric prize. And I'd like to let everyone know that in the next few weeks, we'll be introducing more of our upcoming collections on the Virtual Fabric Show website. So stay tuned and follow us on social media to always be in the know. Our social media links can be found on our website. And please, if you create a project using our fabrics, be sure to tag us at Benertex Fabrics or use hashtags. We like hashtag Benertex or hashtag Benertex Fabrics. And also tag the designers. I know Cherry is very active on social media, and Jim and Jan actually will be leaving here and going and doing another Facebook or a Facebook Live this afternoon on their Facebook channel. And I know they all love to see what you create with their fabrics as well. So be sure to mention them in your postings. Our next session will be starting in 1 hour. That's at 1:30 p.m. And in our next session, we have, where's my page? There it is. We have designers Nancy Halverson, Ann Lauer, and Pat Sloan joining us, and we'll work on getting Shelley Canvanna's video to post as well. So thank you to Jim and Jan and Cherry for joining us today, and we will see you all in the next session.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank everyone out there.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay.
Clear?
She didn't get to have her video.
I know.